All right, public safety roll call, please. Mr. Gwaltney, Mr. Wolverton, Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mrs. Nelms.
Here.
And Mr. Hart.
Here.
Okay, you do have a quorum.
All right. We will, I'll entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve them as distributed for February 20th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Nelms made the motion, Mr. Harden seconded that. Any other questions on that? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. 3-0, that passes. Okay, since we have a few people that are not here tonight, we're going to carry over a few things. But 050223, request for discussion of changes to the traffic calming installation on Morris Boulevard. We were going to ask if Clark Bailey could maybe come to our next meeting to talk about some alternatives. Caleb, do you have a report at this point, or?
Well, yeah. There he is.
Well, there he is.
I thought you were still behind me.
No moves.
Well, so we met, I mean, you probably.
February
have all the
20th,
dates.
yeah, so,
He
yeah,
said-
Yeah, go
we
ahead.
met on Monday, February 27th, prior to that council meeting, had a, public input meeting with residents, and it was facilitated by Cale and Clark. So we had an overview of the project to date and kind of talked through what was gonna happen that evening in regards to rescinding phase 2 and that resolution. And then we also talked about some potential alternatives for going forward. A number of residents were in attendance. We had a sign-in sheet for that. Later that night, there was a resolution to rescind those phases. So basically, the question is going forward, what do we do to still address, one, the current design of the triangle, either redesign or removal, because there's been concerns expressed about it, but then also the original issue of speeding, which was originally cited where the traffic study occurred, which is closer to Edgeland Place and Morris. So amongst the things Clark discussed, was speed cushions and the usage of those. Resident followed up and provided some examples of what City of Nashville is doing now with their traffic calming program and how the residents are involved and vote on that. Also, that speed tables and speed cushions seem to be the most appropriate installation in neighborhood settings, and some of that is in that study as well. So we really just have some work to do as far as looking at, do we want to progress in a direction where we talk to first responders and EMS about, the usage of vertical deflection, because that does seem to be, the only appropriate solution for the original problem that was basically presented near Edgeland and Morris was vertical deflection. I mean, doesn't seem like the installation of a three-way stop makes sense based on the circumstance. And then it's a question about, in addition to vertical deflection and that specific concern, is there a corridor view of the solution or a citywide view of the solution, whether that be looking at promoting primary routes, or whether it mean having a policy similar to, say, Nashville, and revise our current traffic calming traffic calming policy. So that's kind of, I guess, where we're at in the discussion now, without any conclusions. That would be my brief report. And then a number of residents, at least in this instance, are supportive of speed cushions based on the feedback received. But again, if the city decides to pursue that, I think it's viable to think that we may have additional requests come in. So it'll become, it'll set a precedent where there will be additional requests, I think, by neighborhoods and neighborhood streets where those are asked to be used for traffic calming.
And those requests have already started coming in on a few other streets, and I keep telling them to wait. Let's wait and figure out what we're going to do here on Morris and Edgeland Place. As far as the striping of the triangle, around the triangle, there were some things I think that Clark felt like we could do a little bit differently to clean it up and make it a little bit more user-friendly. But at this point, we haven't drawn anything. We don't have a proposed location of vertical deflection devices or a proposed restriping plan or any of that.
Yeah, and Clark did say he was gonna work on that as the next step, but so having him come or present that at the next public safety meeting seems like a natural next step. But that is the update at this time.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, can I comment?
Sure, yeah.
My name is Tom Flaw, and my son-in-law is Houston Sherwood. They live right on the canal, which is adjacent to where they're proposing to put the pumps. And I'd like to let Houston say a few things about what's happening with Jefferson County.
So we're not there.
Yeah, we're not on that item yet.
Oh, you're not?
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're still on the top.
Oh, I thought you were talking about traffic.
Yeah, no, but there's always traffic calming everywhere, so pick a line out of them, and we talked about traffic
Sorry for
calming.
interrupting.
No, we'll get you in just a second,
Okay.
so that's no problem. So with Morris, at this point, I think we'll carry it over to have some additional.
I guess so. I mean, I think what we would like to do would be next time to have something for you guys to actually send out if you chose to do so.
Okay.
Which would include
Is
locations.
this something Clark's making changes to, creating a new plan of sorts?
Yeah.
And also, I mean, really what it is spacing for vertical deflection. Do you put 1 or do you put 12? On the, being a little bit.
And let the record reflect, Mr. Wolf is here. Okay. Okay, so without objection, since I'm not the chair, but I am but we'll carry that over for him to prepare that report, and feel free, like I know that that email went out. If there are thoughts, if you have ideas, we're all for hearing additional ideas. The first plan we felt like might work, but it just did not. On paper, it was totally different than what it looked like. So keep the ideas coming. Maybe we'll come up. Maybe we're missing something. So if you think of something, let us know. But any other comments on that? Yeah, I promise we'll get to the pump next.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we'll carry that over without objection. And moving on to new business, 060323. Request permission to alter traffic in Kenilworth for Jefferson County sanitary sewer rehabilitation. And if we can get a report first from Cale, and I believe we have Hazen Sawyer here as well.
Yeah, Tad Powell is from Hazen Sawyer, and Matt Alpaw is from Jefferson County Environmental Services, and they're going to talk about what they're asking
Okay.
to do. You guys.
Do you need to plug into something?
No, okay.
So I'll just turn it over to them and kind of let them lay out the plan.
And then we'll take comments after that.
I'm Matt Alpaw, Chief Civil Engineer with Jefferson County.
Yeah, if you can come up to the front so everybody can see you, and then get him to sign in.
Yeah. If you could, just sign in for us.
I'm Matt Alpaw, Chief Civil Engineer with Jefferson County Environmental Services Department. We were asked to come here to speak about a traffic deflection. We're doing a large diameter sewer rehabilitation in Homewood, $2.25 million, 2,900 feet of 30-inch diameter sewer that is existing clay that's not in very good shape. We have currently rehabilitated everything above this that flows into it and everything that flows below it. And so this is kind of putting the puzzle together to give you guys a cohesive, put back together trunk sewer. Those are just some costs. Next slide. This is where we're proposing it, at the intersection of Kenilworth Drive and Primrose Place. Next slide. So it's my understanding that the contractor attempted to place it in the homeowner's yard right here, and the homeowner did not want it put there. We looked at putting it in the right-of-way out here, but that would be in front of the homeowner's house. So my suggestion, and the contractors want to place it next to that head wall right there. The manholes that we'll be bypassing, that we will be suctioning out of, are right over that head wall in the ditch. Oh, I got shaky hands, that's not gonna work. So we need to take down that black fence, and then obviously we'll put it back, and we're removing the skids off the bottom of the bypass pumps, which will also get us to be able to be closer to the edge, and then putting plastic traffic barriers around. So really, you'll just have a deflection on this side, where basically in that area, it'll be blocked off with traffic barrier, and people will just have to obviously stop here and proceed carefully.
And that's a temporary thing to do.
Yeah,
construction.
you know, if everything goes well today, the conservative timeline I'm going to give you is by the end of June, we will be out. We have to bypass, we have to clean, we have to televise, we have to do some repairs. And then these CIP liners, if you think of a sock inside out, you put it in the pipe, you fill it up with hot water, and it cures and basically creates like a cast on your leg inside the pipe that structurally is basically as good as putting a new pipe in, but without digging up the world to do it. Next slide. So that's the pump. We're taking the skids and the trailer off so that we can set them and maintain a smaller footprint. 84 decibels is 80 is garbage disposal, but you're outside, right? So that's the noise emitted by them. That location is going to allow easy access for refueling. They're going to have to be refueled every so often. And United Rentals is the company that's going to be maintaining those bypass pumps. So like I said, we have a manhole out here, but instead of having hose in the road, there's a manhole right down in there where they're going to have suction into, and then the discharge will come out of the pump and it's flowing through that channel in HDPE, which is butt fused, basically rubber pipe with no joints, and it's very leak resistant.
The pumps be, excuse my ignorance, I'm sorry, will the pumps be just during work hours, like while they're doing work, or is it?
No, it's all the time. Yeah, because the gravity sewer flows all the time, so these pumps will flow all the time.
Can I ask a question, because this is actually my ward and right down the street from my house. First, I'm glad you said something about putting the fence back, because actually the neighbors paid to have that fence put up. So
Yeah, and the only reason we're doing that is the suction and discharge hoses would have to go over it, and we don't want to damage it, so we're going to remove it. And if you want, we can put plastic construction fencing over those pipes to secure the area, but we fully intend on putting everything back the way that it was.
Yes, I think putting it back for sure, and I think anything y'all can do to make it, because we do actually have kids who walk to and from school.
Right.
To Edgewood. From there, they walk up and get on the sidewalks and go to school, so you often do see, pretty small kids walking to and from, so I think anything you can do to cause a barrier so that somebody doesn't fall.
Right.
Because that's a big fall, so that anything that can be done to make that safe, with mesh fencing or whatever y'all deem appropriate. And you said where it's gonna be and how long it's gonna be. And you said 84 decibels is about the level that it
80
generates.
is a garbage disposal.
Okay.
Yeah, but a garbage disposal outside is a lot quieter than
Sure.
one in your kitchen.
Yeah, right, okay. And you said, the conservative estimate is end of June.
End of June.
But in
Yeah.
a perfect world,
I mean, the bags are ordered 2 months.
okay.
Yeah.
And y'all are planning on starting as soon as?
Whenever they get approval.
Well,
Do you
that's
have a
good.
contractor?
Oh, yeah.
Council
Just
money.
checking. Hard to get these days.
Yeah, it's harder to get
It'll have to be
materials.
after-
We got
No, it'll have to be
contractors.
after
A week
the,
from-
yeah, it'll have to
Okay.
be after the
Yeah,
meeting.
just a second. Okay, any other questions from the
Well, I
council?
just have one more question about the pump. I'm curious about that as well. Is that something that's specific to this area, or do we have those already around town? Like
The pump is used because you have to de-water the pipe to do the fix that we're doing.
But then you're leaving it there, I thought you said.
No, after June, it's gone.
Oh,
Yeah,
Everything's
it's just
back
during
in.
the construction.
Yeah, you have to
I thought
de-water
that's
the
what
pipe
Jennifer
and
asked,
de-water.
and it was
You have to de-water the pipe and
Gotcha,
de-water your ditch to
gotcha,
do the
gotcha.
rehabilitation.
Yeah, okay. And they, I think y'all have.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
one question.
No,
So
I-
the original plan was gonna be in the yard. So
Yes.
you're saying now, running from the manhole through the fence, not running a pipe through our
No.
front yard?
No, there will be, my understanding is there's no pipe in their yard.
Correct.
Yeah, the pipes are, basically, we're gonna take off the fence that's on that head wall and have a suction pipe coming out of the manhole into the pump and a discharge pipe coming out of the pump into that drainage ditch, and then it's sealed, so you shouldn't have anything in your yard.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, did you have any other comments?
Well, I was just concerned about the noise level, if it's going 24/7. These guys have 2 kids, the third on the way, will be here in another 4 weeks. and-
These are quiet pumps.
It won't be this bad. And
Yeah.
then the other question was.
And when I say, I'm sorry, when I say these are quiet pumps, like, these are the quietest pumps. Like,
There are some loud pumps.
We sourced quiet pumps. I have loud ones that I use, but these are the quiet ones.
The other thing that came up in talking to the neighbors, that when somebody did something similar to this years ago, before they bought the house, sewage backed up directly into their house. They're literally right there. And so if something backs up, it goes straight into their house from that sewer line.
Okay.
They're the first line of connection.
I don't like talking about natural disasters. In my industry, we have accidents, right? There's no one that doesn't. If something happens to this bypass pump, it's going in the drainage flume. It's going in the creek. It's not coming
Not
into your
back
house.
in the house, yeah.
Okay, well, that's comforting, because what we heard was that they had a really bad problem, and one of the questions that Houston's asked
It was the same
continually,
contractors as last time.
who's responsible, and if something like that were to happen, who do we go to?
They sign in.
The
They sign in for, just for the public record.
We, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, hand me that, hand me a pen.
So the way our contracts work is the bypass pump is United Reynolds, that's a subcontractor. The prime contractor is who?
Suncoast Environmental.
Suncoast Environmental, okay? We have a contract with Suncoast Environmental that holds us harmless. The prime contractor is responsible for everything. If the subcontractor screws up, the prime takes action against him. So to answer your question, if something bad happened, Suncoast Environmental is who you go to. You know, and there's inspectors that will be on this job that work for me. There's engineers representatives that will be around. And I have a business card I can give you with my office line if you want it handled. Kale calls me, you can call me.
Okay. And then just the last question was, originally we were told that somebody's gonna be sitting in front of these pumps 24/7. Is that still gonna be the case, or what's the?
No, they're gonna be there to
what's the
maintain them and
timeframe?
gas and oil.
Okay.
I mean, they shouldn't be there. And if you have an issue with
Yeah, it's just
contractors
like-
being
like I said, we've got
contractors.
two little kids, and like she was
Yeah.
saying, there's kids playing all in the yards, like our neighbors all play in our front yard. Like, there's just kids all around all the time, so
Yeah.
the safety issue of just making sure that everything's.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a contractor's responsibility to ensure a safe work site. And if you see something wrong with that, shoot me an email and we'll address it.
Perfect, thank you.
Might have found a new traffic calming device.
Yeah, right.
Put some generators out on the street.
Anyway, okay, so that's the footprint in the green right there.
Approximately, yeah.
Approximately.
I mean, we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna take the skids, the trailers off those
Yeah.
and
So it's just gonna
arrange
be the
them
green part.
to take up the least amount of space and
Okay.
ensure functionality.
And it's in a good position in terms of it's not on a narrow street. It's, it's where you've got an intersection,
No.
so it should be.
I mean, I grew up in New York. It's not New York. It's a residential neighborhood.
Right.
It should be okay.
Do you mind if I ask one more question?
Absolutely.
So, that, right there at that area, when the spring does come and like there's so much rain, it will flood over from the other side of the culvert, basically coming through. Are those pumps gonna be okay with water, like a foot of water coming up over them?
You're saying that this.
On the other side
On
of
the
the
other
culvert?
side, that
It'll
culvert.
Like the other
overflow.
The header on the other side.
Spring-
Catty corner to you.
Yeah.
This
So basically,
area-
the whole
Right
area.
there.
the whole
Over
spring
there.
will be
This
flooded.
area right here by the wall. There isn't anything to allow the water that flows over that, believe it or not. I've been there when this whole thing is just completely going through. There's nothing to allow the water to go through the wall. If you had some holes through there, then it would let the water out. So you could potentially have 14, 15 inches of water right there. If we get these storms like we have had in the past.
I just want to make sure that wouldn't stop.
Because everything runs, this is a downhill situation from on that street all the way down, and it flows, everything flows into the culvert right there.
No, you should be good. And I mean, if we saw something like that on the radar, you know, they're gonna have the plastic jersey barriers around it, they could sandbag it, but
Okay.
that's what goes in New
Just want
Orleans
to let you
when
know
they
what
flood.
could be coming. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, I guess a proper motion would be to
Accept the report.
No,
I'll motion for that.
does he need a
It's the utility, right?
resolution? Yeah, he needs permission.
Okay.
Do we just motion to accept the report then, or? is that fine? Okay.
Yeah, authorize.
All right, I'll motion to authorize the traffic calming needed to do this project.
Second.
All right, Mr. Wolverton made the motion, and Mr. Harden seconded that. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed by the same sign. That was 4-0. Okay, thank you. And we'll
Yeah,
vote on
and-
this next Monday at council.
That's
The
when
entire
it'll be
council.
formalized?
And then
Okay.
yeah, then the.
If anyone has any questions for me in the meantime, you can go through him. It's
Okay,
easy.
we have your
Or you can get
card and
a business
everything, okay, perfect.
Thank you,
Yes,
Pat.
we'll call Cal. Okay, so we dispensed with that one, okay. Last item, 07-03-23, request for consideration of adjustments to criteria for approval of events impacting normal street flow and access. I was asked to carry this over because I have no idea what he's wanting to accomplish there, but he said that he would provide more information on that for our next meeting.
Classic
in which he'll
Walton.
be chairing.
This is classic
You know,
Walton
you could,
right there.
you could take that a number of ways, but we're going to get more detail as to what
Next
he's
meeting.
looking to accomplish, and we'll address it then when I'm not sure.
Sounds good.
So, okay, anything we need to take off the table? Any other questions? All right, hearing none, then public safety is adjourned.